Well, folks, another week, another viewer poll. I asked you last Friday whether or not you thought Donald Trump was going to run again in 2024. We had, how many votes did we have here total? Let me go back real quick and see. We had 26,000 votes on this poll. Here's the way I phrased it. A Politico article this week increased speculation that Trump will run for president again in 2024, with many of his closest allies saying it's a near certainty. With that in mind, do you believe that Trump will actually run in 2024, or is this just a way for him to stay at the top of the Republican Party for a few more years? 26% said yes, he is definitely running no matter what. 26% said no, he's not running no matter what. So dead even split on the no definitely and yes definitely. And I think that's pretty amazing. 48%, so a plurality of people, said maybe he'll run, but only if Republicans win big in next year's midterms. So that's what most of our viewers here said. I tend to agree with you, although I am leaning more towards I don't think he's going to run even if Republicans win. But let's go to the comments now, because I think this is, the best part of it here. From Rye Guy says, he doesn't stand a chance in 2024. His endorsed candidates aren't even looking good for 2022. Plus, Trump will be in way worse shape than he is now. It'll be awesome to see him dwindle away. His life is a poop stain on our country. Not gonna argue with you on any of that. Tiffy Kitty says, I'm banking on his legal problems standing in the way of him ever running for public office again. I actually did consider putting that as one of the options, but I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit simpler. But yes, obviously that is a huge, huge factor. Like, that's probably an even bigger factor than the midterms. If he's in jail, he's not running for president. Of course, the odds of him actually going to jail are incredibly slim, but they still exist. So yeah, you can't be president if you're serving from behind bars. So, big obstacle there. Owen Thomas says it would be incredibly stupid and he'd almost certainly lose, but his narcissism is such that he'll probably do it anyway. That's an excellent point as well. Donald Trump's narcissism is well known. We're not shocking anybody by talking about his narcissism. So that does play a big role. He is pissed. According to the people who spoke in that Politico article that I referenced in the actual question itself, they said he's mad. He's shocked he lost to Biden. He wants to, go back, get his revenge. And that is 100% his narcissism talking there. Lorna Reddick says, I will be genuinely surprised if he's still alive in 2024. The man is a walking heart attack. Again, another factor that could be just as important as his legal problems is his health. I know he's got a lot of money, so he's got access to the best doctors money can buy, but sometimes that's not even enough to get you, especially when you're already in your 70s and you're going to be in your mid-70s, mid to late 70s. By the time 2024 rolls around, he was already having health problems, stability issues, walking down that ramp and trying to drink water, whatever the hell that was. Yeah, that's going to be a big deal too. Another person, Simgore2, reiterates the same point about the health. John Nemish says, doesn't really matter. He'll be indicted soon and hopefully arrested. You're far more optimistic than I am about that. Ron Pagat says, reminds me of a childhood story, The Emperor Has No Clothes. I'm hoping I actually probably mispronounced your last name. My apologies on that. Oddly Wired says, hopefully he and his crime family will be in jail. Username with just a bunch of numbers says he's going to wait for the midterms. He wants to see if the candidates he endorses will win. If they don't, he knows damn well voters will not vote for him in the election. And yeah, midterms obviously is another huge deal. Whatever happens next year, whether Republicans take back the House or the Senate or both or neither, that's a big factor. Whether his preferred candidates get reelected, that's a huge factor, because even if Republicans take back just the House, that's not a guarantee that Trumpism won the day. If we lose people like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Madison Cawthorn, possibly even Matt Gaetz, again, another guy that could be in jail, that's going to hurt the MAGA movement. So even if Republicans get the majority but lose the hardcore Trumpists, that's not going to sit well with him. And that's not going to be a good sign for him. Jeff Agatstein says, I think he's just saying he's most likely going to run so that he can continue to grift the public out of their money. That's what he's mostly about. I think power is secondary to him. Nonetheless important, but he's incredibly lazy as well and has often whined about how much harder the job was than he thought it was going to be. That's a good point as well. Because as long as he still keeps the question out there, am I running, am I not, who knows, give me money though, he can keep raising the money. And people will continue to give him the money. So that's another big factor. Trump will do and say anything to get money, which, as we all know, includes giving commentary on a fight on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So yeah, is he in it for the money? Oh, hell yeah. And plus, I do think a big part of it, too, is not just that money, but the influence over the Republican Party. Because that makes him money, too. If Trump became irrelevant to the Republican Party, they'd stop going to his properties. They'd stop staying at his hotels and having events at his resorts. But the more he stays out there and the more he pretends to have power, the more these Republican groups say, okay, well, we're doing a conference. I guess we need to go do it at a Trump property so it puts more money in his pocket. So that ties into that as well. Betty Frame says, I think he'll wait for midterms unless New York starts to jump before that. If his attorneys catch wind of an indictment, he'll jump to announce his bid just so he can say, see what they're doing? I announced my bid and they're trying to stop me. That's an amazing point. That's not something I had thought of. And honestly, it makes a ton of sense because he's already tried to make that claim. He's already tried to, dismiss what's happening in New York as, oh, they're trying to stop the MAGA movement. They're trying to stop me. They're trying to do this with it, blah, blah, blah. It's all political because I'm a threat. That is a great, great point. So thank you, Betty, for that. Johnny says, if his LAD artery isn't at least 90% blocked after 60 years of cheeseburgers, then we should never believe what dietitians tell us ever again. That's a good point. I mean, look, the guy is obviously unhealthy. And look, you know what? You choose to do that. You choose to do that. I'm not shaming anybody here, especially, look at me. I am in no position to body shame anybody, and I don't hold anything against anybody for what they choose to eat, how they choose to have their hair. Unless, of course, you're like Trump and you can't admit that you're bald. Nothing wrong with it, dude. Open up. Trust me, it's great once you finally accept who you are as a person. So anyway, yeah. I got to read this just because it's funny, and I'm sorry. I know I just said I'm not in a position to body shame, but technically this is coming from somebody else. It's coming from our boss. He says, he'll run, but only if he hasn't been put in a diabetic coma by McDonald's and Diet Coke first. Oh, here's a good one. It says, you needed another scenario, Farron. He has no choice but to run. That's his only out-of-jail card. As long as he's the viable candidate for the MAGA Nazis, the spineless, deluded Democrats will not prosecute his crimes to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. I don't think you're wrong about that either. I do think the Democrats, if Trump announced he was going to run, of course he thinks he's going to win. If he announced he was going to run, yeah. They'd probably be like, well, no, we can't do this now. Nah, come on. I agree with you. And it's sad that, we have to even think that way. But, we've seen the Democrats for far too long to know what's happening here. Listen, that's about all the time we got on this. I appreciate everybody. Again, 26,000 votes on this poll. Really, really good responses. Hopefully we get another one out this coming Friday. We'll do the same thing next week. Thank you all for your continued support. Thank you for the comments, for the votes, for everything. Until next time.